The UK Electronic Surveillance Service, GCHQ, collected on a massive scale images from web cameras, often within bedrooms in private homes, without any individualized suspicion of wrongdoing. This activity continued even after GCHQ became aware that the vast majority had no intelligence value at all, and roughly 10% of all images upon auditing were discovered to be intensely private, depicting some form of nudity or other private intimacy. That the NSA had intentionally sought to collect similarly explicit sexual material regarding religious conservatives whose political views it disfavored and considered radical, for the purpose of exposing it to damage their reputations and discredit them within their communities. This is an unprecedented form of political interference that I don't believe has been seen elsewhere in Western governments. That no legal means currently exist to challenge such activities or to seek remedies for such abuses. That mass surveillance is used by the NSA, as well as partners and adversaries, for the purposes of economic espionage. NSA had unlawfully compromised the world's major financial transaction facilitators, to include SWIFT and Visa. And in their reports, they explicitly noted that such information provided, quote, rich personal information, unquote, including data that, quote, is not about our targets, unquote. The governments caught engaging in mass surveillance have in the last months have stopped attempting to justify the programs as being related to national security and have instead shifted to a far looser restriction of valid foreign intelligence purposes. This is particularly problematic for human rights because any government can justify almost any privacy violation on that basis. And it reflects some governments are willing today to cede a hard-won moral high ground rather than implement surveillance reforms. That I believe the international community should agree to new common standards of behavior, perhaps a convention on the prevention of mass surveillance, as well as the adoption of common technical standards mandating the use of secure by default communication protocols for the transmission of data, if they are to have any hope of protecting citizens' communications against unlawful surveillance. To my knowledge, have the NSA or GCHQ used these surveillance powers and similar capabilities to spy upon highly sensitive and confidential communications of major human rights organizations, such as but not limited to Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and or smaller global, regional, or national non-government organizations? The answer is, without question, yes, absolutely they do. The NSA has, in fact, specifically targeted the communications of either leaders or staff members in a number of purely civil or human rights organizations of the kind described in the question, including domestically within the borders of the United States. In summary, the issues that we're facing today are complex. There are a number of unanswered legal questions that have to be answered not just by intelligence agencies who do have, I believe, necessary work, but by the public bodies and our elected representatives. It's very important to us that we as a society determine the appropriate balance between the desire of intelligence agencies to perform the most efficient work possible and to try new techniques that have never been proven and that now we see actually there's a growing body of evidence that they offer no real value, such as mass surveillance, and compare those against the traditional restrained means that we face.